I'm Barney and I'm very passionate about baking, so I decided I'd make some videos to show people how to bake, or to help people bake. Today I'm going to bake some scones. This recipe I learned at college a long time ago. It's always worked well for me, so I've stuck with it. So I'll show you how to make some scones. Today I'm going to make cherry scones. I like cherries in scones because they're nice and soft and delicate, and they have a very nice sweet flavour. You can add whatever fruits or nuts you wish to put into scones, but I'm using cherries for today. First of all, I'm going to take 300 grams of plain flour. I've already sipped the flour and the other dry ingredients to make the job easier. Next I'm going to take 2 grams of salt. Also, I'm going to take 16 grams of baking powder. Then I'm also going to take 75 grams of margarine. Now you can use butter if you wish, the choice is yours. I would recommend getting your butter or your margarine out of the fridge early on in the day, because while you're mixing it in with your scone, with the flour, you want it to coat the flour, you don't want it to just rub round inside there. So we'll put that in. Now we're going to set the mixer going on first speed, nice and gentle. This is just to cover the flour with fat. When we have a nice crumb inside there, so it's all broken up, that bits of fat, and it's all blended together, I'm going to take 168 millilitres or 170 millilitres of milk. I'm also going to take 66 grams of caster sugar. Gently whisk these together so that the milk absorbs all the sugar, and then add that to the mix that's already in the machine. You can do this on the table and blend it in by hand, but if you've got a machine, I find it easier. Always be careful not to overmix your scone mix, and don't be too aggressive with it. You want a light, delicate mix. Already it's come together. It doesn't take a lot to bring it together. Scrape it off the beater because you want to make sure that your scone is nice and even. Then take your cherries. I chopped my cherries in half already to help them go into the mix. The reason is I don't want them breaking up them big bits of cherry. I want it to blend nice and evenly. Once the cherries are in, set the machine going, being careful not to overmix it. This also doesn't take very long. You'd be quite surprised. It's important not to overmix a scone because you want them to be light and delicate. I can't say that enough. Take as much as you can off the beater. You might put a little bit of flour onto the tabletop. Dip your scraper, or your bare hands, into the flour to make it easier to remove from the bowl. dip your fingers in the flour, it will make life easier for you. Any excess, scrape it away from your fingers. Now, it's important not to overmix it at this stage. You don't want to be doing that. Nice and gentle. What you want to do is to bring it together to make sure it's nice and even. There. Already it's starting to form a little ball. It'll be nice and even. Try and keep your surface area nice and clean. It will help when you're working on scones. A light layer of dusting of flour. Set your scone in the centre. Try and keep your scone surface at the top nice and clean and smooth. That way your scones it will show on your scones when they're being egg washed and when they're baking. I tend to give a little roll and I turn it a quarter of a turn. I'm using a 3.5 inch cutter, and I like to use just a plain cutter for cherry scones. If I was doing sultana, raisin or currant, I might be tempted to go with a crimpled one for a nicer effect, but I think these look nice as they are. You want to go to about 1/2 inch thick, because you have to give enough volume, enough of the scone mix there so it will rise. You want to dip your cutter into your flour, it will make life better for you, and also, because it will stop the scone sticking to the cutter. Have your tray ready so you can go straight onto it. These trays are pre-greased. You should get about 10 scones out of this mix that I've done. If it starts to look like it's going to stick, dip your cutter back in. It's important when you're cutting down that you don't twist it around too much. You're trying to go straight down and get a nice even cut. As you can see, we're coming to the end of the first bit of scone, so you start moulding it together. Don't be tempted to put too much more flour on top of it, because what happens is that new bit of flour that you're dusting with starts to toughen up the rest of the scone, and you don't want that. So like I've been doing before, just gently roll it down. You don't need to push hard. The weight of the rolling pin will be enough to get it going down. When you believe you've got the same sort of thickness again, chop some more out. So push down and you should be able to come out clean. You can hold it in your hand a little bit, but obviously you don't want to get it all sticky. But try and keep your scones nice and tidy on top. You want to have a good finish. There we go. Might get one more little one. No, we won't. That's another time. Right, next I'm going to egg wash my scones. I egg wash them and I'll let them stand for 20 minutes. The reason for me letting them stand is when you add the liquid to the mix, it starts to develop gluten inside the flour. That's the protein that makes the flour stand up and erect and hold its position. With scones you still want it to be nice and soft and delicate, so we let it stand for 20 minutes and that'll give the protein and stuff inside the scones a chance to relax back into place so that the baking powder can do its job easier. So we'll let them stand for 20 minutes now. Okay, now the scones have stood for 20 minutes, so I'm now going to give them a second glaze of egg wash. The reason I like to do that is because it gives it a nice glossy finish. And this is just before they go in the oven. put the scones in the oven about 200 Celsius to 400 Fahrenheit, which is about gas mark 6, for 15 to 20 minutes. If your oven's more aggressive or not as aggressive, bear that in mind, please. It might be different to what I've said. That's my scones in the oven. After about 10 minutes, I'll probably have a look at them. If they need to be turned round, because mine's a gas oven, the flame's quite strong at the back, I will turn them around, being careful not to let any drafts get in there so the temperature drops too much and shocks the scones. Let's wait for them to bake then. Okay, my scones were catching on the other side, so I turned them around like I said I would do. It looks like they're going to be ready a little bit earlier, so this is about 12 minutes rather than 15, but they're looking really good and I'm very pleased. We've got a nice lift on them and they're nice and tidy with a lovely glaze. What I'm going to do now is remove them off the tins and put them onto a wire so they can stand there and cool down. And there we have it, Barney's cherry scones. I plan on doing some more videos. I'll do lots of simple recipes and do my best to make them easy for you. If you'd like me to make something, send me a message, give me some feedback, write it in the box below. That would be super. Thank you very much. Enjoy baking.